Hello, it's Philip Taylor speaking from Richmond Green Chambers in London. This morning I'm reviewing a book which is a really excellent book from Jordan Publishing, and in fact it's the imprint of Jordan Publishing called Family Law, which would be known to anybody who's practicing in the family area. This book is called The International Issues in Family Law edition. It's covering the 1996 Hague Convention on the Protection of Children and the Brussels IIa Convention. The contributors are Henry Setright, Queen's Counsel, David Williams, Queen's Counsel, Dr. Ian Curry Sumner, Michael Gratian and Maria Wright, and it's also available as an e-book. It's a very important work, I think, for anybody involved in family issues. Now, my wife Elizabeth and I have given a title for our review, which is in the journals and on the web, the following title: For Practitioners and Judges Dealing with International Issues in Family Proceedings. Let's face it, we're all getting to be much more of a global community today, so you are going to have a lot more international flavour to the issues that are taking place, hence the Brussels IIa Convention. There is the actual front page, the spine, and then the back. There's a little bit of detail on the back explaining what the book's about. There's a detailed index which you can see right at the back, and then at the front page there, and the details of who's actually produced this book, who's written it. The foreword is well worth reading. The Right Honourable Lady Justice Black has written a foreword in September 2015. I'm recording this towards the end of the year. There's a very interesting preface as well, which sets the scene, I think, very nicely. There is some footnoting in the book itself. And then we get from there's more of the preface there. Then you get to the actual content section itself there. It's split into quite a number of chapters. You can see the content is quite detailed. That's for the first few chapters there. Then we run through again, and you can see again a lot of reference to all the relevant articles, of course. Then you've got country information, which again is very useful. This is international, so it covers all of the main countries. I'm going to show you that again so you can see what we've got covered. As I say, the index is at the back. There are 4 appendices which are listed there, and then a table of cases, SIs and so forth, statutory instruments. International legislation is also covered, naturally. And then after that we get into the book itself. And if I show you the front of the book, this is chapter 1. You can see the structure. Paragraph numbering extremely helpful, which is there. And then you've got the actual footnoting to give you a lot more detail. Just opening it in the middle, this is about the public law area there. And then if I just go back to the end of the book, you've got a number of the actual appendices right at the back. For instance, this is Appendix 4, Comparative Table of Like Provisions, which is structured there, jurisdiction, recognition and enforceability, and that's done in a sort of table format. The book runs to something approaching 450 pages, and it's a paperback. So what do we say about the book then? We say this in a short review. As one of the latest titles to be published under the Family Law imprint of Jordan Publishing, the arrival of this book is reassuringly timely for the busy family law practitioner dealing with complex issues relating primarily to the protection of children, particularly, as is increasingly the case, and I've mentioned, across international boundaries as the global community gets a bit smaller and we all know each other. As family proceedings before the courts of England and Wales have now taken on an increasingly international dimension, which we all recognise, practitioners find themselves faced with the need to deal knowledgeably and confidently with the resulting issues in order to ensure the most advantageous outcome for the client and, of course, the child in question. Certainly, cases of child abduction, especially across international boundaries, have assumed a higher profile in the press of late, which of course makes the publication of this book all the more topical and timely. And as the title indicates, the book focuses on the 1996 Hague Convention and the Brussels 2A. These two pieces of what are legislation, for the purposes, are closely allied and pivotal in matters relating to international issues in family law, for those who are not particularly familiar with it. As I indicate, I'm aware and reasonably familiar with it, but it's quite complicated to follow, and it is certainly Brussels 2 is worth reading if you don't know about it. We're reminded, however, of course, that although Brussels 2A has been in force in the UK for almost 10 years, the 1996 Hague Convention came into force in the UK in 2012. The 5 editors who I've mentioned are all experts in their own areas of international law. And they've also provided commentary on the leading cases on each of these international instruments, and also those cases in other areas of law that shed light on their interpretation and application. And to this end, readers should find Appendix 4, which I've indicated a little earlier, the comparative table of like provisions, very helpful as an at-a-glance summary, and it's done in a tabulated form. The chapters on recognition and enforcement and on international child abduction are of particular interest, and also note the chapter on country-by-country information on all participating member states. Practitioners under pressure will also appreciate the detailed table of contents, the 4 appendices and the handy index, plus the tables of cases, statutes, statutory instruments and international legislation. And as Lady Justice Black has pointed out in the foreword, she says the book is indispensable for the experienced lawyer who deals with international cases week in and week out, and for the newcomer who needs to know what is what in order to spot and deal with an international issue, which is absolutely spot on there. Let me conclude by saying this. Inspired scholarship, logically organised, combined with clarity of approach and an impressive array of research resources, make this book a practical, accessible and up-to-date guide to anyone professionally involved with cross-border family proceedings, from practitioners to judges at all levels, and we certainly commend it. It's a first-class book. The publication date is cited as at September 2015. Just a quick zip around it again. There's the front cover, the spine, and then the back. Just opening it in the middle somewhere. Transfer of proceedings of an important area in its own right, right in the middle. You can see the structure as an example. Paragraph numbering, footnoting there, and a lot of detail. It's nicely set out, so you should find things very easily. The index, I think, is very useful because it's very detailed. If you're looking at a particular country, you will find the country listed again in the index at the back, and of course it's also listed in the main index, the content section rather, right at the front there. This is an excellent work. I'd like to thank the authors of this book very much indeed for the work they've put into it. We can't do our jobs without having this sort of publication, and Jordan's always come up trumps with a first-class set of books for us in family law through their family law imprint. Thank you very much to all concerned. Bye-bye.